Today, you're going to find out about the leaked USCIS document that the USCIS officers use to determine if your relationship is real or not.
Hey there, and welcome to our channel.
My name is Margarita.
And my name is Dixon.
We make videos for people like ourselves who are going through the marriage adjustment of status process.
They are based on our own personal experience as lawyers, and the experiences of the members of our marriage immigration method.
Our channel is meant to give you guys the confidence to go through this process completely on your own.
So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you're always up to date.
Here's the deal. If you're beginning your adjustment of status process and you meet all the USCIS requirements, submit a complete and error-free application, include a solid and well-rounded amount of relationship evidence, and you maintain your eligibility, then you are entitled to the immigration benefits you are seeking.
But we all know it's not that simple. The major issue with marriage immigration and what complicates this process and makes this journey take forever is fraud.
And this is the basis for all marriage immigration interviews, for the officer to evaluate you both and determine if there is a likelihood of fraud.
So let's get into the leaked document and the fraud framework of 4 factors that the USCIS will use so that you're prepared in case you have an interview.
But pay special attention to the last 2 factors because they can relate to your application and not just the interview.
First, let's talk about general behavioral fraud indicators. The first set of fraud indicators are related to your general behavior.
And the USCIS lists the following 10 indicators they evaluate, including extreme nervousness, over-interaction, lack of knowledge about basic questions, being late for an interview, lack of interest and or interaction, eye contact, evasive or general answers, answers interrupted by attorneys or others, answers prompted by attorneys or other, and attorney attempted to distract or mislead.
Now, as you can see, these fraud indicators relate to your behavior at the interview.
We understand that the interview can be stress-inducing. This can be made even more stressful by the fact that the USCIS officers may try to make things more stressful.
Know that their intent is not to be rude or hostile, but rather to try to make people in a fraudulent relationship nervous and stressed out enough to exhibit one or more of the factors that we're discussing here in today's video.
But here are 2 important things to note. The first is that this is not some sort of a test in a way that you would be tested in school. If you have a real marriage, then there is nothing to study, obviously.
You wouldn't lack knowledge about basic questions, you wouldn't lack interest or interaction, and you wouldn't be evasive or provide general answers. Go in with the confidence because you do truly have a real relationship.
And the second point is that officers are trained to recognize extreme nervousness or interaction and the like.
They see couples all day, every day, so your nervousness is not something to be worried about because it'll be the same general anxiety that these officers see all the time. Extreme nervousness would really only be present if you had something to hide or were lying.
So rest easy knowing that the baseline for these indicators will likely be high, so try not to stress out about your stress.
Plus, consider applying to our marriage immigration method.
We took special care to create a program that will help you handle this process completely on your own.
But even more special is our private immigrant community.
Just benefit from the support and understanding of other couples going through this exact same process ahead of you and experience a stress-free experience all the way until you become a US citizen.
All details are in the links below.
Now, let's talk about other general behavior fraud indicators. Next, the framework lists 14 other indicators, and these actually don't have much to do with the interview at all.
The 14 indicators include receiving documents immediately before the interview, receiving them immediately after the interview, over-submissions of information, proactive, explicit, and staged photos,
suspect text filings or financial transactions, multiple applications or petitions by a single applicant or petitioner, having a common preparer known or suspected by the FDNS or under investigation.
Having the preparer, notary, etc. all be the same person, that the USCIS receives a tip, letter, or phone call commenting negatively on your relationship, receiving suspect documents, suspect-looking photos suggesting fraud,
biometric discrepancies, seeing your application denied for abandonment or withdrawal after a request for evidence was issued, and seeing a suspicious filing history of the beneficiary or the applicant.
Which of these 24 fraud indicators stood out to you? Let us know with a quick comment. Or let us know if you have any follow-up questions about any of them.
Next is the I-130 family-based petition fraud indicators. These are important factors to consider, especially when completing your I-130 form.
And just a quick side note, in case you didn't know, don't just submit your I-130 online without including the rest of your application.
This is called concurrent filing and saves you a ton of time in this immigration process, so definitely check out the video to learn more about the concurrent filing and other immigration advantages marrying a US citizen gives you.
Now, here are some of the more commonly understood indicators of fraud that we can clearly see on the leaked USCIS document.
They include having a short time between the entry of the foreign spouse and marriage, an unusual marriage history, unusual cultural differences, and a large disparities in age when combined with other factors.
However, understand that all of these factors can be overcome with reasonable explanations submitted with your case.
We have members of our method that successfully navigated these fraud indicators by being open, honest, providing detailed explanations, and preparing solid cases.
But there are a few other, less common indicators that are important to keep in mind.
These include previous marriages of the petitioner to foreign nationals, divorce and marriage dates being close together, and unusual dates on submitted documents.
So as you prepare your application, it's important to check these fraud indicators in order to be best prepared and place yourself in the best position to receive a favorable outcome.
That's why we've linked this document in the description below so that you can use it as a reference while preparing your application materials and so that you are ready for any interviews that may come.
And now to the fourth fraud indicator. You may be surprised to learn that this section of the document is blank. So what exactly does this mean?
Basically, what this means is that it's at the officer's discretion to include any other red flags they pick up on from the forms you submit and or at the interview they conduct with you.
Here's the big thing to understand.
A big part of this immigration journey you're on comes down to a human element.
It's the USCIS officer's job to try to prevent marriage fraud and thus immigration fraud.
And this is a very important point. When you're preparing your application and or you're getting ready for an interview, you always want to consider the fact that a human being is on the other side of the equation.
But you really need to understand the frame of mind of this person. USCIS officers see an unreal number of cases. This means that they are not making the assumptions you are, they're not as emotionally invested as you are, and they are trying to pick apart your relationship for indications of fraud.
This means that when you're putting together your application, you are considering that you are building a story for a person who sees tons of applications daily and is looking for fraudulent indications, so it is your job to show them clearly and easily that your relationship is real.
But that's not all. You also want to make sure that your application flows well too, and that the officer can go through your application effortlessly and get through their checklist of requirements as quickly as possible.
If you make their job easier, you give yourself a higher chance of faster processing while also reducing USCIS errors, which are way more common than you know.
We really hope that you found this video helpful.
Let us know if you have any additional questions in the comments in case there are questions that we didn't quite answer.
Good luck with your green card application process.
And before you go, be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we will see you in our next video.